They're just like my children. So I was doing the 12 packs, the dozens and stuff, and it was like a flash sale, and I was just doing it on Instagram, and I would sell like 40 dozen every month, and I'd just do one every month, and that got us through like the pandemic and stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna go back to my old job. So I know, yeah. And so I had my son, I was pregnant with my son, and I had him in April of 2020. And so it was like right as soon as I was done with maternity leave, I was on maternity leave and everyone else got laid off except for me. They can't lay me off while I'm in maternity leave, you know? And then I get back and they're like, by the way, go ahead and just pick your stuff up. So I knew it was happening. But I had so much more flexibility with this. And I wondered, like, how do people take their children to swimming lessons in the summer if they're working? You know what I mean? And now I get it. You just get laid off. You just start your own company. That's how. Yeah. Hi. Welcome. We haven't started yet.
Okay. It is not sold out. You just believe the email I sent. Okay.
I asked him that we've been trying to figure it out, but yes, now cupcakes aren't sold out.
I screwed up. I thought they were sold out.
Mm-hmm. I suppose, though, if you guys do want to buy some stuff, I can sell stuff before we get started.
Sure.
We have s'mores cake, a little different than the one that I've been doing. I tried to make it more true to the blue ribbon one. So it's just chocolate cake, chocolate frosting, chocolate drip, and marshmallow top. This is our flourless chocolate cake. So it's almost like an unrisen souffle type thing, really like dense truffle chocolate with marshmallow on the top. Cookie butter, no-bake cheesecake, so like a cream cheese base with that cookie butter Biscoff flavor. Fruity Pebble cookies. Thelma's had a contest, and it won Thelma's contest. And so for a long time, they talked about doing Fruity Pebble cookies as an ice cream sandwich, but there was something that they couldn't like get enough Fruity Pebbles to do it or something like that. And so they ended up not doing it. And then the macarons I brought matcha, churro, chai, and the blue cheese, which the blue cheese was the one that won last year.
Yeah,
Churro won a couple years, matcha won a couple years, and chai is just my favorite, so had to bring that one. That's a cheater. But yeah, that's everything.
I like a piece of the s'mores cake.
Sure.
Might take it with me.
Yes, definitely. Ooh. Let me get all lined up here.
When are you going to do the one that has the marshmallow flavor?
Probably the next pop-up that I do. Yeah.
That one's also really, really good.
Yeah, that one is a good one.
Showing us how you're doing that.
Whoop, hold on, I see a... Maria, can you come here and grab this hair that's on my chest? It's like right here.
Yes.
Thank you. I lint rolled myself and everything. I'm going to get this first one out and then actually give you the second one. The first ones are always
Not pretty.
not the worst one, but the second one will be better.
For me, pies are his.
Yeah,
Like taking them out of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. Yeah. That
I
is
mean, if
true.
it's for you, that's fine, but yeah. But if you're serving for someone else, it's like, I can't
Yeah.
do this. Yeah, this is not.
There we go.
So your kids like the Fruity Pebble cookies now?
Yes, that is their favorite. Yep. That one is their favorite. That's their favorite cereal in general.
Really?
Probably because that's the cereal we always have. It's like that or Cheerios or Rice Krispie treats or Rice Krispies. Like that's the one sugary cereal that they know they're always going to be able to have. Honestly, I used to get Cinnamon Toast Crunch because that's my favorite, but they don't like it. So,
Really?
oh, perfect, thank you. Exact change. Yeah, that's my favorite. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is my favorite, but I'm like, well, if you guys aren't gonna eat it. Perfect, thank you. Did you want to get something? No pressure.
Yeah, the flourless and the butter.
Let's switch clothes. And which one?
Those two.
These two. Got it. Hello, welcome, lady that looks just like me. That's my mom.
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Yeah, we bartendering.
Bartendering. Let me get another knife.
False on that?
It's really pretty with that layer on top.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Cookies don't want to. There they go.
That's awesome. You know what you should do is put that in the leftover too.
If you guys want a fork too, I have a couple forks here. Okay. Did you just want to do Venmo?
Yes.
You probably already have my Venmo, or do you want me to get my little card out? I'll get my card out for the next person. Where is that little guy? This. Do you want to buy anything, lady?
Do I want to buy anything? I want you to bring me the leftovers on your way home.
Okay. What is that? The mango?
Lemonade with vodka?
Yes. The mango's really good.
Yes, it is.
Don't take a picture of the mess I made.
I announced it at my meeting this morning.
Oh.
Pop up, so. We'll see if anybody from that.
Yeah. I had some people like ask me some details. It's tough because a pop-up usually lasts a little bit longer, but I want to give the information section at the top. I can do it a couple times though. If people come later. I told Rosa I would keep her a slice, so the first slice is perfect for her. There used to be a garbage over there. Maria, are you going to enter anything in the fair? You should. Mom, I might have you hold. I'm going to go live on Instagram
Okay.
during it. Can you just
Yes,
man that?
I can. What do I need? Your phone?
Yeah. We can prop it up against something. I'll find something. My phone will fit in there. Nope. That's gonna be too big.
I bought my fair entries.
Did you? Good. How many did you buy?
I bought 10, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Yeah.
things.
I got
It was
Rosa.
like you said, with the $10 flat fee and then
Yeah,
50
50 cents
each.
now. Yeah, instead of
That makes sense.
5 for or 10.
10 for $10 or
Yeah.
whatever it was. I can't remember what it was.
Up to 10
Yeah.
for $5. That didn't make any
Yeah.
sense, but it was probably the way that the system was set up. I found that it was a little more user-friendly, but I'm sure they're going to have people complaining.
Oh, yeah. Anytime
The older
anything
people,
changes.
yeah. Patrick, do you want this stuff?
Yeah, I'll take it back. That's fine.
Or did you want to just show it off up here?
I was just gonna try to go live on ours.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to find something to prop mine up with, but. What's this? Yes. Something like that. I haven't pressed it yet, but.
Go stand up wherever you're going to be. I'll see if the...
We're right here. I already made a mess and it's stressing me out. You know, I never know where anything is anymore. Okay, thank you for saying that.
I know where things are, and then you come...
Yeah. My grandma does that. She moves things, and I make all the like holiday meals at her house, and every time I'm like, you found a new home for everything. Let me get acquainted.
I swear she hides the corpse.
No, she also hides the pots and pans.
It's her passive aggressive.
Yeah.
You don't really need to have it.
Oh, I know where she keeps the liquor though. That's just a screw top. I'm ready whenever you guys are. Okay. Here, let me get it started. It's probably going to give me want me to give it more information. Nope, maybe not. 3, 2, 1, it said. Is it live? We're live, guys. Okay, everybody, we're here at the recipe. I'm talking to my people. I'm talking to the people online right now. We have a couple people here. We have all of my ribbons and stuff here. And we're going to be down here, I'd say for probably another hour and a half with these treats and stuff that we're going to be selling. But I want to kick it off with kind of my experience with the Iowa State Fair. So, way back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, my grandma entered the Iowa State Fair. We were talking about that before. So my grandma would enter the fair. She had all of her like testers and everything in a freezer in Nevada in her garage. Everyone would come and take it and everything, and it was always full of just different recipes she was trying, different recipes that she was going to use for the fair. And so when I moved back to Iowa in 2013, I decided that I wanted to give the fair a try. I'm a very competitive person, and so I entered 5 things, and I ended up with, I believe, 3 ribbons, and I have it in a shadow box here. So if you guys want to look at it, if you guys want to come down to the recipe and take a look at it, ended up with 3 ribbons, and I was totally hooked and wanted to do it every year. So some of the other highlights are, so the year that we got married, we got married in September, so entered in August, and I won $750 in the Tone Spices contest. So we used that on our honeymoon in Miami, a little extra spending cash. I also entered 8 months pregnant with my daughter in 2016, and George Famaro, who is the owner of like Zombie Burger, Gateway, Centro, a bunch of those restaurants, he said he loved my crust, and it was a beet crust, so it was like a bright purple crust. He says he loved it, and I won first place in that contest as well. So those are some of the highlights. My chocolate cake that I brought tonight won 3 blue ribbons, and it also won my daughter a blue ribbon last year. She entered for the first time last year and had a really good time. And my macarons won, this says 4 blue ribbons, but so in the macaron contest won 4 blue ribbons, but I worked it in as like a macaron cake in a couple other contests and did well. And then my very last year entering as an amateur baker, a lot of the contests that you'll see on the website are for amateur bakers, and there are a few for professional that now that I own my own bakery, I enter those. But my last year entering as an amateur, I entered the Biscoff cheesecake, and it was a contest that I had, the no-bake contest I had entered for many years, and I had tried so hard to win, and it was a contest hosted by a former employee of mine who her daughter had passed away and who had done the state fair and everything, and they did it in her honor. And so I tried every year to win it, and I never won it, but I became really, really good friends with the family as I sat there. And so they wouldn't judge, and they wanted to know which one was mine, and I would never tell them until the very end, because I said I don't want it to sway it, but really it was just kind of like a game that I played with them. And so my very last year, I finally won the contest, and I knew it was going to be my last year, and so it was really awesome, and now I judge the contest. They asked me to start judging it. So that is another one of the highlights. So if you guys are interested in entering the fair and you have never entered it before, I'm going to see if I can get Patrick to pull it up on the TV, getting to the website, the iowastatefair.org. So you're going to want to buy your entries before July 1st. That's the cutoff. Have to buy the entries. You don't have to know what you're going to enter yet. You just need to buy the entries. And they're 50 cents per entry. So I would say as your first year, just buy 10 entries. 5 is probably about the average of what a beginner will do, but then you have some to play with. And then there's kind of like a $10 overall fee. So you're going to pay $10 and then you're going to pay 50 cents for each entry that you do. You also have to pay to get into the fair to drop off what you're doing. So that's something that you want to keep in mind when you're planning out. You don't want to say, well, I'm going to enter something every day of the fair. Okay, then you're going to need to pay to get into the fair every day of the fair. So we've gone to iowastatefair.org. We're going to go to participate on the right-hand side. Participate and enter contests and competitions. There we go. And then Iowa Family Living, you're going to scroll down and then go to the Iowa Family Living right in the middle there. And then we're going to scroll down, and under that select a category drop down, you're going to select food. So that's going to give you how to enter online. It's going to give you the general rules and regulations which are important to read, but the big one is the food rules and regulations, the very bottom one. The food rules and information. So this is going to kind of be your Bible for entering the state fair. This is going to have all of the contests and everything. You have to study this. Okay, so if you make food for your job in any way, you need to look at the, and it changes a little bit. It has changed a little bit in the last couple years, but I believe it's if you make like $10,000 making food or more, then you're considered a professional. But under that, you're amateur and can enter pretty much all of the contests. And then also take a note of some of the age restrictions of some of the events. So under the events, you're going to have an A, a Y, or an AY. If you're an adult, obviously, you can only enter the A. If you're a youth, you can only enter the Y or the AY. I know that you're going to think, well, you know, I should, as a youth, be able to enter anything. You cannot. You can only enter the ones that say Y or AY. They take that pretty seriously. There was one year where there was a complaint that a young person had entered an adult contest and won it, and there was a complaint about it, and so they made that a rule. So they're very serious about that rule. So like I said, purchase your entries by July 1st. That's like, if you take nothing else from this, you have to do that. You have to do that. When you purchase it, you're going to also receive a short-term parking pass to park next to the Elwell building while you drop everything off. So you can also purchase tickets ahead of time and get a little bit of a discount, which is also very nice. And you can purchase parking passes. So there is a technicality that you can drop off before the fair starts, but I only suggest that for like decorated cakes and stuff like that, which that contest is judged before the fair even starts, or if you're doing canned goods or something like that, because you are going to be at a disadvantage if you drop off before the fair and are waiting until the fair for them to taste everything. And then purchasing parking passes. So for many years, I did not purchase parking passes, and then one year, there were some kids in the neighborhood where I parked, jumped on my windshield, and broke it. And so for me, just for the peace of mind, I park in the parking lot. The nice thing about parking in their parking lot is, so you come in, you drop everything off, you go back, you park in the parking lot, then you come in, you do your thing. I, every morning, go get my watermelon. That's the very first thing I do every morning. Walk around the fair, come back, make your way back to the Elwell building for the judging. Once the day is over, or once you're ready to go back to your car, there is somebody who works with the food department who has a little go-kart or a little golf cart, and he will drive you back to your spot. All the way back, no matter where you parked within the lots. If it's one of the state fair lots, he will drive you back there. Just go to where you entered all of your stuff, where you dropped everything off, and ask them to call the guy to drive you to your car. That way you can carry your stuff with you, he'll bring you back. Or if you want to go get your car, you can also use your temporary parking pass to come back again. But I love riding that little golf cart with him. He is so sweet and he is so much fun. So that is what I recommend. There is usually, especially if you get there on a weekday in the morning, there is plenty of parking on the streets, plenty of free parking. You know how state fair parking goes. I just personally, for peace of mind, purchase my parking passes and park in the lot. All right, that was my big thing for that. So reading the book. Once you get past the rules in the book, you're going to see division categories. That's really good if you're like a niche baker. So you talked about that you're doing sourdough. You can go into that category and see bread and see what all of the bread ones are without having to read through everything. So that it just kind of breaks up the categories for that if you're a niche baker, a niche chef. And then after that, you're going to see the judging schedule. That's good for reference, but I like to make a spreadsheet that kind of makes that not that important. But that's good for a reference because I like to pick 4 or 5 days that I go. I like to, like I talked about before, you have to pay to get in. So I like to just pick a couple days. So I'll say, so my daughter this year, I know she wants to do the ugly cake contest. So I'll see what, yes, I know. So I don't want to give away what she wants to do, but it has to do with armpit hair. So I don't want to give anything away. And it may change before then. So then I'm going to go and look on that day where the ugly cake contest, what are some other contests that she could enter that day? So she can enter a number of contests, but we don't have to go to the fair 12 times. So that judging schedule is nice to look at. And then you get to the division explanations. So I printed out a couple of these, and I can let you guys look at those. So on the very top, we're going to have the contest name. So there are 2 different ones, but at the very top in bold, the contest name, I have it printed out here. And then you're going to have division. Division 53, that's an important number. Division 53, you're going to need that for all of your paperwork. Then it has judging, the date that it's judging and the time, and then who the sponsor is. Then we have the awards, what you win, if you win the contest. I will say, if it is a contest where it's $500 is the winning, you can expect to have probably 30 or 40 or more entries in that. A chocolate chip cookie is not going to win that contest. So you're going to have to go above and beyond something extremely special and something plated extremely uniquely. If what you win in the contest is $10, you can expect to have maybe 8 to 10 entries, a lot easier time to enter. So if as a beginner when you're entering, I would go through and do a mix of both. Try your hand at that huge, very exciting $500, $200 entry, even $100 entry. Try that, but also look for ones that you might win, like a gift basket or something like that, where you'll have a better chance of winning because there will be fewer people entering. And as beginners, also when you're looking through, there is a beginner's contest. And I highly recommend that, and I highly recommend going to that contest because they talk about, as you go on, they talk about different things you can try and do. They're very specific about explaining why you did well, why they gave you each score. They're very thorough with that. So the beginner's contest, and you're only going up against beginners, which is excellent. So the rules then, after the special awards, read that twice and highlight little notes like include a story, present on a white plate, 5 items on a plate. Highlight things like that because the night before, as you're filling out all of your stuff or as you're packaging, when you get there, as you're putting everything on the plate, you're gonna forget that stuff. And unfortunately, that stuff is going to disqualify you. If it says put 5 things on a plate and you put 4 things on a plate, unfortunately, you will be disqualified from that. So the rules are very important, very extremely important. Read that twice. And then at the very bottom of each one, you have the class number. Also important for your paperwork, division number is gonna be on your paperwork and class number is on your paperwork. So the division is the overall contest, and then the class are the specific contests within that. So choosing your contest, we've talked a lot about the date and everything like that. I would suggest just creating a spreadsheet that has each date that you're interested in going and all of the contests that you're interested in. Have your division number, your class number on there, and then have what you're interested in doing in that. And just keep a running list. Even through the fair, keep that running list. So, well, I'm probably not gonna have enough entries for this very last day, but there is one that's kind of interesting. So then when your last day comes and you ran out of time to do another one, we can reference that. We talked about what the awards tell you, and there is another kind of trick that people do. It's entering the same thing in multiple contests. So say you make cookies and read the rules, because some of the rules say that you cannot enter it in multiple contests, but those are very few. There are very few that say that you cannot enter the same exact thing in multiple contests. Maybe only 1 or 2. So if you're making an entire batch of cinnamon rolls, make a double batch and enter it in 2 contests. So you're baking once and entering 2 different contests. So look through some of those events and see where maybe what you make, you can just double, or you're making cookies, you're gonna make 24 or 36 of your cookies, might as well take 5 here and 5 here, enter 2 different contests. So keep those in mind, pick your days. Also read, a lot of them ask for a story. Now I am going to tell you a trade secret. This story does not have to be real. My stories are rarely real. I'm a great storyteller, and if you ask me about that story a month later, I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy, because it does not have to be real. They will say, yes, they want it to be real. But if you have something that you want desperately to go into a contest and you don't feel like you have a good story for it, embellish your story. Make it a fantastic story. So just keep in mind that they do want a story. If it says a paragraph, 3 to 4 sentences. If it says a story, 2 paragraphs, maybe a little bit longer. Get your full story in there. Just very specifically read what kind of story it wants from you. Proof of purchase. Many of the events are, say there's a Maytag event, they want a proof of purchase. You can bring in your receipt, or like gold medal flower, you can cut the logo off of your gold medal flower and bring that. Staple it with all of your other paperwork. Just make sure that you have that. If you do not have proof of purchase, you will be disqualified in contests that require proof of purchase. So there are 2 big events, a cookie event and a cake event. The Midwest Living Cookies is going to have every cookie you can possibly imagine in your entire life in it, and the cake contest as well. Every cookie, cake you can possibly think of, and then they are going to have other than named. So even if your cookie does not fit into what they have in there, there's this magical other than named class as well. So those are 2 to look for. They are so very specific. I printed some out here. So chocolate base cookie, chocolate chip cookie with nuts, chocolate chip cookie without nuts, coconut macaroons, dried fruit cookies, frosted drop cookies, meringue cookies, monster cookies, no bake, oatmeal butterscotch, oatmeal chocolate chip, oatmeal raisin, oatmeal cookie other than named. So it's so very specific that you can expect to have anywhere from 2 to maybe 8 in each contest, unless it is chocolate chip cookies, then lots. Chocolate cake, lots. a more specific cake other than named, 3 or 4 maybe. So a lot of those, my lint roller did not work today. A lot of those are going to be, are going to tell you how many people there are based on how rare the cookie there is, but it is an entire event. They open up the entire Elwell building, and there's so many people there. So now I'm going to talk about kind of conceptualizing an idea. So you look at your contest. Does your contest specify that a recipe cannot be a recipe that's been published before? 4 or 5 may say that. Other than that, a lot of people are bringing recipes that they've found on Pinterest, that they've found in cookbooks, that they've had passed down. The back of the Toll House cookie bag, you know what I mean? It's on there. And copywriting recipes is nearly impossible. You change 2 or 3 words in the come in, I'm just talking, this is my aunt and my cousin. I'm just talking through, getting towards the end, hopefully, of talking through how to enter the fair. And so it's nearly impossible to copyright a recipe. And so if you take a recipe that you found on Pinterest, you're not doing anything wrong at all. Something from a cookbook, you're not doing anything wrong at all. I would suggest, as you're doing that, so the Toll House cookie example, take those same ingredients that are on the Toll House, if that is your magical cookie, take those ingredients and then step away from the recipe and just write your instructions how you do it with your own words. Now you've made that Toll House recipe your own recipe, and you really don't have anything to worry about. They're also not checking any of that. And so if you're nervous about it, no one is going to call you out and say, this is the Toll House cookie recipe, unless you say this is the Toll House cookie recipe, because it's once you've used your own wording, it's not the Toll House recipe anymore. And when you're making something, think over the top. There's a bake-in contest, and the prize is $500. And my very first year entering that contest, I was like, yeah, I have this great chocolate chip cookie recipe. It's not the Toll House cookie recipe, guys. But it's a great chocolate chip recipe, and I'll add bacon to it. I won't say it got laughed out of town, but they spent about 10 seconds on it and moved on. Like, okay, cute. You have to think above and beyond. Your presentation has to be above and beyond. Maybe make those cookies into an ice cream sandwich. Just think above and beyond. Think about what people ask you to bring to potlucks. Think about what platters are empty after your events. Think of the recipe that everybody is asking for you for, your favorite recipe of what your grandma makes. Things like that, things that you've made over and over and over again. I think about my parents told me the people who do the best on RAGBRAI are the people who ride their bikes everywhere they go. They ride it to school, they ride it to work, they ride it to the grocery store. It's the same thing with the state fair. The recipes that do very well at the state fair are those recipes that you make weekly, that you make for every event that you go to for your friends, that you make for family events. It's those recipes that you've made over and over again, those tried and true recipes. Those are the ones that are going to do well at the state fair. And then let the contest inspire you. A lot of the times I go in there and I think, oh, I haven't even thought about rhubarb in a while. That kind of excites me. Let me try and find a new rhubarb recipe. So read through that book and let a lot of the contests inspire you. And then my other tip is if you are doing a lot of testing, if you're going to make a lot of different cookies, a lot of different cakes and stuff like that, I would suggest what I did is a $10 tester group. So I just made a Facebook group, invited a bunch of people, and they could have the leftovers of one thing that I made. They could have all of them. So if I made 4 cakes to try and get it right, they would pay me $10 and they would just take the rest of the 4 cakes. I would take a slice of each to see how they are, and they would just take the rest of them. And I would ask them to tell me what they thought of it and everything. But really it was to kind of pay for the ingredients. For all of that, it gets really expensive, and people are excited to take all of that off of your hands. So Give that some consideration. All right, now when we're going to writing the recipe. So you want the name of your recipe and the number of servings. This is my Toll House thing that I told you guys. Don't miss anything. So if you add food coloring to it, put it on there. If you add a garnish, a sprig of parsley, put it on your recipe. Everything. Write the ingredients in your recipe in the order that you use them. Write all of the ingredients. If you have a glaze, a garnish, anything, put that all on the recipe. Type it out. And then when you're in Word or you're in Google Docs or whatever, you can make a header. So that's where we're going to need our division number and our class number, always. And when you get sent everything, you're going to have an exhibitor number. So division, class, and exhibitor number. All needs to be on the header of every recipe that you do. You have to have that. If you go to enter things in, they're going to make you make that note. So you might as well just put it in there. And don't put your name on your recipe. Don't put your name anywhere on your recipe. It may ask, if you're a youth, it may ask for your age. If it doesn't ask for your age, don't put your age on there. And then when I'm doing it, I like to put the division number and then the name of the division. So if we're looking at here, so division 52 dash oh come all you cookies. And then I like to put class 394 dash Christmas cookie plate. I like to put those on mine because I'm printing it out and bringing it with me, and it makes filling out all of my paperwork a lot easier. So that is just a little tip for that. When you receive all of your tags in the mail, you're going to get one thick manila envelope or a manila tag with a hole punch. And that's going to have your exhibitor number printed on it, and then it's going to have a spot for your division and your class. Write that on there, and then it folds up and has another spot for division and class. So you write that division and class on there twice, open it back up, and it has a spot to write the name of your class. So class, pumpkin patch cookies. That's what's going to be written on there. You're going to fold it back up, boop, and then it has a hole punch. You'll also get strings. Put your string through that and tape that right here to the bottom. So it hangs out enough that they can have this placed here and under. Then you're going to have your recipe. You're going to fold your recipe in half, and you fold your recipe in half again. And this top corner right here, you're going to staple that to your manila thing right in the very corner. Pack this up. Now here. So this can be taken out. They don't have to move the plate or anything while they're judging. They can read your recipe. They can pack it back up. If we're doing cookies, so say we have a small plate of cookies. It's hanging out right here. It's a small plate. I would put everything in a Ziploc. So everything is safe in a Ziploc. This can be hanging out. This can tuck under. But your paperwork is very important to have. You're also going to get a little tag, a little sticker that goes underneath. Very small little sticker. It has your exhibitor number on it. You put your class and your division number on it and stick it on the very underneath. That is so once everything is done, they will wash your stuff for you, which is incredible. And then they set it on a table for you to come and get. That is how you know that it is yours. You turn it upside down. There's my exhibitor number, and then you can take it. Everything there. One tip, so I'll prepare my platters and plates and then transfer everything in a Tupperware. When you get to the Elwell building, in the door that you come in, the south door, there are tables and stuff that you can use to get ready. So I'm going to take all my cookies and stuff in a Tupperware, but I'm going to have my plates ready with this taped to it and everything. And then when I get there, I brought a couple extra cookies for a snack, but also just in case they break. And then I get there, I place the cookies that I want there, I bring in. The other thing is, the size of the cookies. So Midwest Living is going to very specifically say that you need a dessert or an appetizer size white disposable plate. You have to read very closely. If you bring it in a plate, a yellow plate, it will be disqualified. If you bring it in a glass plate, it will be disqualified. If you bring it in a paper plate, fine, but as you put cookies on a paper plate, there's a ring of oil that you're gonna get. So I suggest a styrofoam plate, just a very cheap, small styrofoam plate if you're gonna go with cookies, if it's asking for a disposable plate. It looks nice and it doesn't leave a little ring of oil on there. Also, the size of cookies. We love huge cookies. The judges do not love huge cookies. They want competition-sized cookies. You can fit 4 on a plate on a small dessert plate. So unless it specifies to have things huge, large, over the top, keep in mind that a competition-sized cookie is going to be a small cookie. Non-edible garnishes. Do not put a non-edible garnish on something. Don't put a, I'm trying to think of what a non-edible is. So last year they did not have this rule in the rule book on accident, and we put a umbrella, one of those little drink umbrellas on, and they tried to disqualify that on a cupcake. They tried to disqualify it, but they had accidentally left that rule off. Well, they made sure to put that rule on there. So don't put anything inedible, no inedible garnishes, nothing on what you're doing. And that, it says that in the rules, easy to miss that. I love to attend the judging. I love to watch closely what they say to each other. I like to try and read their lips. And then I like to listen to the feedback that they give when they say who the winners are. I like everyone clapping for me. I like that. It sometimes takes a really long time depending on who the judges are, depending on how many things that there are. But the Elwell building has air conditioning, my friends, at the Iowa State Fair. It has chairs, plenty of chairs to sit in. It has free coffee, you guys. It has nice bathrooms. The Elwell building, there's nothing wrong with sitting at the Elwell building for the day and listening to your judging. I think it is a great way to pass your time at the fair. It's delightful. So picking up after, so say you've entered the contest, and we're gonna go with worst case scenario first, you did not win. So they're gonna take everything to a little room back by the bathrooms, and you can go back there. They need maybe like 1 to 2 minutes to get everything organized, and then you can go and take it back. Now it is yours. They're cutting off the comment cards and everything like that, but you say, that one's mine, and then you can take it. If you don't take it, they donate it to, Hope Ministries, I believe. So they donate all of the stuff to a very good cause. So if you've entered cookies and you don't want to try and figure out what to do with the leftover 2 cookies, you can just leave it in there. And if it was on a plate that needs to be washed, then eventually they will wash it. I would give it most of the day. Then they'll eventually wash it and put your stuff for you to take. I haven't had much issue with people stealing my plates and stuff like that. So just don't bring like a family heirloom. If you do win, they take it to another area and take a slice of it or take a piece of it to put by the ribbon to then put in the case. That takes a little bit longer, but once they're done with it, they just put it in some tables, and you'll see it right when you come in. Put it in some tables. Once it's done, you can just take it and go. I like to bring a couple Tupperwares and stuff like that to just throw everything in and then find a place at the LL building to hide it. Don't tell them I'm telling you this. And I mean, if you're hanging out at the Elwell building, I promise you people will want to eat some of what you have. It's a great way to get to know people. But that is a good option. And then at the very end of the fair, the Monday after the fair is all over, you go to the Elwell building, and there's a time allotted. You go to the Elwell building and you pick up your comment cards, your ribbons, everything like that. If you can't go that day, I believe that you can give them like a prepaid envelope and they'll mail it to you. But most people go that day, pick up all of your comic cards and ribbons, and that is very fun. And then don't forget your plates. And those are all of my notes about the Iowa State Fair. It is very fun to do. It's enjoyable. I'm there probably 5 or 6 days this year, so if you go on a day that I'm there, please find me. Other than that, we're down here at the recipe with tons of desserts and stuff like that. We'll be here for a bit longer if you want to come down and grab something to go. And I appreciate you guys coming. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, we can end the lives, but if anybody has any questions, do you have any questions? Okay.
So, like, looking at this one, the best in dough, it's got
Yes.
the classes. So, like,
Mhm.
do you make one bread that then can be judged into classes, or you have to make one for each?
One for each one. Yep. And you can enter every class in there. You just can't enter 2 things in one class. But yep, you have to make a separate one if it's the entire loaf. If it's like cookies, then great. No one will know. You know what I mean? But yeah, you do, for each class, you want to present an entire product. Good question. And presentation matters. If you look at the very last note on each of the classes, so this is my contest, macarons or macaroons, entries will be judged on taste, 50%, technique, 25%, and presentation, 25%. So what they do is they have 100 points total, and so then they say, okay, what would you say out of 50%, or out of 50 points possible, what would you say is taste? Okay, I'd say it's 45. Okay, out of technique, out of 25%, what do you think you would give technique? Okay, 20%. And then presentation, 25%. So now you have 90 out of 100. And then they have all of those listed, and the top 5 or so they keep. And the rest they send away, and then the judges kind of reconfer and say like, well, this one was my favorite, and this one was my favorite, and sort of talk about it. And everything's different. I mean, if it doesn't say presentation on there at all, they're not going to take presentation that much into account. But if presentation is 99%, you know what I mean? That's the number one thing. So make sure to look at that little list. I mean, I'm looking at this logo contest. Entries will be judged on most original, 100%. I'm wondering, are they even going to taste it? You know what I mean? They might not. Because if they don't, yeah, it's just 100% on how original it is.
Yeah, but maybe they need to taste it to see how original it is.
Maybe,
So that
yeah,
is good.
yeah. So, yeah, those percentages are set by the person sponsoring it, but very important to look at.
And when you pick up your stuff on the day after the fair's over, you can drive right into the fair.
Yeah, yep, you don't have to pay to get into it. You can drive just like you did. If you were dropping stuff off ahead of time, yeah, you can just drive right in. It's very kind of bizarre to be able to just drive in with no one asking you for a ticket or anything. So, all right, well, that is my spiel. If anyone hasn't bought any desserts and wants to,
Have you guys entered the fair before?
No.
it's pretty awesome. And Patrick, do you want to talk about, because she is entering sourdough, do you want to talk about the sourdough contest at all? Thank you.
Yeah, I certainly can. Would you print the recipe out?
Uh-huh. I have it up here.
Like, I think the only real big rule was that you have to have maintained your starter for 90 days.
30 days?
Or 30, yes, 30 days, thank you.
I read it. I read it.
Yeah, for sourdough, that's really the only.
Can you enter sourdough or you?
So, and then it's judged
No, I can
on,
only do the professional ones.
they are going to be judged on not just taste, but also visual appearance. So, like, a big one we just did sourdough And then, like she said, this is the first year we've done it, so I don't know if it's going to be huge. Maybe it will be because we're going to have an acre shrimp mixer that we're giving away. But like for taste, the things that we look at, like is it baked properly, and then also uniqueness. Like somebody entered one at the farmer's market that was like a French onion sourdough that like the taste was amazing, but they didn't caramelize the onions ahead of time, so they leached out a bunch of liquid when they baked, and so then it wasn't cooked around the onions. So like they lost points for that. And then a lot of it too will be like on the decoration, like how intricate do you get with the decor, how much are you cutting it? Like do you cut patterns into it? Like how do you think outside the box, like Alisa said. I'm trying to think what else for sourdough.
I believe that I'm helping judging,
Yes,
right?
you are.
So what I look for in like a sourdough is that you use salt enough to bring out the flavor of it. There's a lot of sourdoughs that aren't sour. Like
Right.
it does need to have that like,
Just tang.
yeah, the tang.
Yep.
And I think a lot of that, it comes with your starter, but it also comes with how long you, yeah.
Yep.
And like, especially your last proof, like how long you just let that flavor develop once you've added the salt and everything like that.
Yeah, there's a difference between a sourdough that proofed for 4 hours and one that proofed for 24
Right.
hours. You can definitely tell who took their time.
I would like to suggest next year we ask what people's sourdough starter name, the name of
I
their
like that
sourdough
a lot,
starter.
actually. And that's one of the things we talk about in our sourdough classes, is I always say name your starter.
Yeah.
Because you'll be more likely to maintain it for less.
Mine is, what? Tupac is alive, living on a island in my fridge. But yes, mine's name is Tupac because there is a chance he's dead.
We never know.
I just remember
Never
that
know.
Tamagotchi thing.
The Tamagotchi, yeah.
Tamagotchis.
Had it.
Yeah.
It would be crying in the middle of the night, and I couldn't bear to like smash the thing, so I would have to like do
That's like a
whatever.
thing. People say, like, if you had a Tamagotchi growing up, how's your sourdough starter doing? Oh.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Grab one of my cards too. Okay, great. Yeah. And you can feel free to like shoot me a message or something even during the fair. Yeah. Yeah. The night before, I'll give you my number. We could FaceTime and I could talk you through it. You have to bring everything at least 30 minutes before. I suggest just bringing it in the morning, honestly, and if it's something, I know you're doing sourdough, but say you wanted to do like cheesecake, if you bring it and you tell them, put it in the fridge, take it out this amount of time. Say you're bringing like a casserole, leave it in the fridge, scoop out a little, put it in the microwave for 30 seconds before you serve it. You can give them very specific instructions of how to keep it between when you drop it off and when they eat it. And they'll do exactly that. And that's another reason why I like to actually attend, because I'd say maybe like twice in the entire time that I've been there, I've heard that they forgot something in the fridge or something. They take meticulous care of everything. And so I'm telling you, like in 10 years, I've only heard of this happening like twice, but I'm always like, let me just make sure it's there. And it could have been user error. I could have written the class wrong and it's waiting for another contest somewhere else. And then you say, oh my God, I just wrote it wrong. And then if they're nice, they help you fix it, so.
The year that Rosa was born, so she's 8 months pregnant, it's 105 degrees because it's Iowa in August, and she was working full time, and so I dropped off a couple days for her. I was so scared I was gonna drop. I mean, she had like a whole wagon full of stuff, and, except it wasn't in a wagon. I had to carry it, and it was so like, oh my God,
yeah.
I'm gonna drop this. And
Yeah.
and she's pregnant, right? So she's like, I was so worried because any
I know,
little
I was-
thing says you're over the top.
No. wasn't.
It was all okay.
I wasn't mean when I was ringing. I was just throwing up all the time.
And I sat there and watched them judge it, which is nerve-wracking.
It is.
But also really cool.
Yeah. I have pictures of Rosa from last year. She's 7, so 6 last year, sitting there like this. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, nothing, everything's fine. I'm like, ah, yes, generational anxiety.
She's not competitive at all.
Rosa?
Yeah.
In dance class, that was the one note we got from her teacher. Rosa is very competitive in dance class.
What did you expect?
I know. But in dance class, she's competitive.
Well, it's in the genes.
Yeah. I have gotten mad before. That's just who I am. Some people get mad, I get mad, and I've complained about things before. There are people
Like the
that
umbrella.
like the umbrella. They tried to disqualify my daughter, and I said, you will not disqualify her. Well, it's been there every year. I said, she's 6. This is her first year entering. She also can't read, but yeah, I was like, you can't do that. She's a first time enterer. You can't do that. Well, no well. Put her little cupcake back in there. She got first. I said, no, no, no. I said, I'm a sponsor and I will pull my content. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all.
I'm entering sewed things, fabric and threads.
Mm-hmm.
And if you drop it on the ground, it doesn't ruin it. You can take it before it starts and leave
Yeah.
it there and then pick it up after.
Yeah.
The worst that can happen is that, like one of my friends, her entry, which was a black wool something,